How did I sell over $2 million worth of goods and services without actually selling? Well, it's because salespeople sell themselves out of deals. Put yourself in your client's shoes. I'm going to reframe how sales should even feel by starting with a quick analogy: the doctor's visit. You fall and land awkwardly on your arm. It hurts a lot. You're not sure if it's broken, but you know something is wrong. So you go to the doctor. You sit down, a little anxious, holding your arm, and the doctor doesn't start by saying, "All right, you need a cast." Instead, they ask, "Where does it hurt? How did it happen? When did the pain start?" Then they gently move your arm, press in a few spots, send you an x-ray. At this point, notice what's happening. They're not selling, they're simply listening. It's only after they understand the full picture that they say, "Okay, here's what's going on." They explain what they see on the scan. They tell you why it hurts. They walk you through what happens if you don't treat it and what happens if you don't. Then they say, "Based on this, I recommend a cast." And now it's obvious, not because they pushed you to it, but because it makes sense. They fit the cast to your arm. They explain how long you'll wear it. They reassure you that the pain will pass, and you don't feel sold. You feel taken care of. And that's the point. They didn't need to convince you that you needed a cast. They made it a no-brainer. They made the right decision crystal clear. You don't need to force a sale. The outcome is shaped by how you start the conversation and how you build the relationship along the way. When a client sees you as a trusted guide, someone who genuinely listens, asks thoughtful questions, and genuinely understands their situation, they naturally follow your recommendation because they believe it will genuinely help them. So how do we treat our sales process like a doctor's visit? A common mistake is trying to sell when the deal is halfway done. For example, the client feels hesitant, and instead of slowing down and listening, we respond by dumping even more information. And it usually sounds like it does the AI thing you asked for, but it also does video recording, QuickBooks, financing, signatures, project management, and it just launched AI agents. And at that point, we're not helping, we're overwhelming. The problem isn't that we're talking too much. It's that we're talking about things that the client didn't ask for and doesn't need yet. So instead of isolating the root issue and addressing that, we just throw everything at them, hoping something sticks. And just like the doctor's visit, too much information doesn't create confidence. It creates doubt. Confusion kills, but clarity seals the deal. You gotta focus on value, not features. We often get caught up in the minutia of software features instead of focusing on the big picture. Why the client is even here in the first place. For example, a client comes in looking to improve their sales funnel, but we try to make the software look extra shiny by talking about project management, task management, scheduling, financing, and everything else that it can do. And instead of helping them, it absolutely overwhelms them. What works better is staying focused on their actual pain points and showing how the software solves those and how those connect back to the bigger outcome, which is making more money. Make it rain, baby. For example, you mentioned you're struggling to validate leads early in the funnel because you're manually entering info into spreadsheets and scheduling calls into Google Calendar. Not sure if you knew, but a lot of teams automate that step so they can spend way less time on admin and more time talking to prospects. And that's it. No feature dumping, no distractions, just the right amount of information at the right time, tied directly to what they actually care about. Those who ask questions control the conversation. The more we talk, the less control we have of that conversation. Questions are the rudders to the ship. When you talk, you steer less. When you ask the right questions, especially ones that focus on pain, you guide the direction of the conversation and help build urgency naturally in the client's mind. But there's something else happening here that people don't realize. The more the client talks, the more they tend to like you. And this is called the self-disclosure effect. People enjoy talking about themselves. It literally activates the reward center in your brain. So when you ask thoughtful questions and let them explain their situation, they feel good. And they subconsciously associate that feeling to you. When we talk, we feel like the main character. So in a sales conversation, make the client the main character. Now let's look what that looks like in practice. So you said you've got about 4 reps spending 2 hours a day on admin work? Quick question, how many deals does one rep usually close in one day? About 6. And the average deal size? Around 2,000 or 3,000. Okay, if each rep had 2 more hours per day to sell, what would that realistically mean? Probably 2 more deals each. So roughly 8 extra deals a day across the team. Yeah, and $2,000 to $3,000 per deal. What does that look like exactly on a month-to-month basis? Oh wow, around 300,000. And hypothetically, if you had the extra cash flow, is there anything else you'd want to do right now, but you can't because you're capped financially? Actually, yeah. We're in the late stage talks with a distributor, but we can't support the volume yet. Oh, why is that? Well, we need another $100,000 a month to hire and ramp up a new team, plus support the logistics. So if your reps weren't stuck doing admin and you unlock that extra capacity, which means more cash flow, does that mean the deal becomes realistic? Yeah, actually, and we'd be able to move forward immediately. Well, so what do you think the next best steps are? Well, I think we really need to consider removing all of those hours spent on data entry. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure if you noticed, but it almost feels like a therapy session. So simply listen and provide guidance as it comes up. People buy with emotion more than they do with logic. The example we just walked through was a shortened version, but in a real sales conversation, you want to give people space to open up, especially around frustration. You'd be surprised how often a client starts talking about how annoying or time-consuming something is, and we immediately feel the urge to move on. Don't. Instead, sit with it. Let them feel it. Bear the pain with them. When a client says something along the lines like, "I hate how much time my guys are wasting just typing numbers in Excel," don't jump to, "Yeah, that sucks, but we can fix it with XYZ." Just ask, "What do you mean by that? What does that look like day to day?" And those types of questions invite them to open up and start talking. And when people feel safe, they want to unload. They want to get it off their chest. And as they do, something interesting happens. They start selling themselves without realizing. They're acknowledging how bad the problem is, and at that point, your job isn't to push. It's to help them see why doing nothing is actually costing them more. That's where you gently guide them towards some simple math to show what indecision is really costing them. Because indecision is a decision, and most of the time, it's the most expensive one. All right, final point. People can feel that you're trying to sell them something. Plain and simple, it's not rocket science. People can tell when you're trying to sell versus genuinely trying to help. When someone feels like you won't take no for an answer, the conversation becomes uncomfortable real quick. There's no exit, and suddenly it feels transactional rather than collaborative. For example, a client may say, "Well, I don't think this product is going to fit my business." And a common response would be, "Oh, it will. Trust me. I've seen this work for tons of companies just like yourself. We're actually one of the best in the industry, and I know it's going to work for you." So even if it's true, it creates resistance. And a better response sounds more like, "Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we've only been talking for a few minutes, so I'm honestly not sure if this is going to work for you either. So let's walk through your process first and even see if we're a right fit for you." And that shift matters. It completely removes the pressure. It gives the client space, and it positions you as someone that's trying to understand and not convince. This is not part of the script, but I thought this was really important for me to include. It's not just about what you say, but how you say it. The tonality and pitch of the way you say the words and how they come out of your mouth expresses way more than the words themselves. And what you're essentially trying to master is that you are a friend that's trying to help them, not some dude just trying to hit the metrics for the month. Just a quick tangent, highly recommend someone named Jeremy Miner from 7th Level, and he's someone that actually inspired me in the way that I do sales day to day. Highly recommend you check him out. So let's put it all together. Diagnose before you prescribe. Don't jump to solutions. Fully understand the problem first. Clarity over complexity. The more confused they are, the less they buy. Make it simple and obvious. Sell outcomes, not features. Tie everything back to what they actually care about: time, money, and growth. Ask questions. The person asking controls the direction and keeps the client engaged. Let them feel the pain. Don't rush to solve it. Help them see the true cost of doing nothing. And finally, remove pressure. When it feels collaborative instead of pushy, resistance disappears. So, what's the point? Don't pitch, don't push, listen, and solve the problem in front of you. When you do that consistently, people don't need persuasion. They simply ask to buy. And remember, these are just the basic fundamentals of sales. These are not the advanced strategies that I may cover in a different video. And if this was useful, subscribe. I break down sales and systems like this every week. And if there's anything else you want to see next time, write it down in the comments below. Thank you and God bless.